So in this video, I want to talk you through how to improve your resume. Now, resumes and your CV, however you want to define it, are typically being reviewed for about 7 seconds before a recruiter or a hiring manager reaches a conclusion, right? So here we've got a case where they did some eye tracking survey of people reviewing CVs or resumes. And what it says is within 7 seconds, they come to some sort of conclusion, right? Recruiters skim resumes for an average of 7.4 seconds. Resumes that capture recruiters' attention have simple layouts, clear sections, clear heading titles, and they tend to fare well when they're not cluttered, when they have some level of white space and gaps on their CV. And also a good, like I say, section and job headings really appeal to recruiters. So that's a little small detail, but I've reviewed hundreds of resumes over my decade within the finance industry. If you're new to the channel, I've worked at Goldman, Morgan Stanley, and other companies in top finance, sales, and trading investment banking roles. And the point is, many people, their resumes are not up to scratch. They're not very good quality. Even at those top senior roles, you'll be surprised, having basic, strong structure in someone's CV, focusing on the key details of their achievements, their skills, their experience. Really, you do have a lot of cluttered CVs or a lot of CVs lacking the relevant details. So key thing is have a clear format. It's something I offer in my career advice service, if you're interested in that. Have a clear format, make sure it's clear at the top, your name, your contact details, followed by a good profile summary, which we'll come on to in this video in a bit of detail. And then you'll have your clear experience and education, but focusing on everything relevant to the role and your career path. So that's a key thing, having everything clearly set out, which is important if someone's going to review it quickly. And what are they going to look for in these 7 seconds? They're going to look out for top skills, buzzwords, keywords. They're going to look out for any brand name companies, anything that's relevant to the role. But imagine if you're a hiring manager, you're busy, you're stressed out, you've got tons of work to do, you've got pressure from your management above you, you're probably managing a team if you're looking to hire other employees, you're dealing with tons of daily stress. They just want someone who they think is going to be good for the role, the least hassle possible, that they can get in, interview, not waste their time in an interview, and make sure they're getting someone that's good. And that's why your resume really needs to be high quality. So let's talk about this profile summary. So what should it actually look like, right? So the profile summary is the top part of your CV. Is 3 to 4 sentences to summarize your skills, your achievements, your next career goal, right? And I'll give you some examples here. So you focus on your USPs, your 3 unique selling points, for example, your relevant experience, managing a $1 million project budget while leading cross-functional teams to deliver results ahead of schedule, technical skills, proficient in Python and other coding languages for data analysis with a track record of optimizing workflows by 30%, your academic background, depending on your level of experience. So if you're more junior and you've maybe a few years out of university, then it's more appropriate to focus on your academic background. But of course, if you're more experienced, you've been working for 5, 10 or more years, there's probably no need to reference your academic background unless you recently did like a professional qualification, like an MBA. That's something else you can mention at the top of your CV. Graduated with honours in finance from LSE, London School of Economics, so that's like a brand name university or stand out, specialising in risk management and quantitative analytics or analysis. So these are key skills and they're showing how your academic studies are relevant to the jobs you're going for. Career goals. Aspire to drive innovation in financial technologies by leveraging my experience in blockchain and machine learning, right? So what we're talking about here, these are top skills to have, particularly the recent popularity of crypto because there's a bull market, and also key skills of technical skills, AI, machine learning, things like that are going to help you stand out if you're going for those type of roles. And other things to include in your profile summary, that top part of your CV, and there's some ideas to kind of questions to give you some ideas, right? What unique skills do you have? How are you going to stand out from the competition? So here it could be mentioning you've previously worked with international teams as you understand multiple foreign languages. That's a good thing. Like say you're going for a sales role at a top investment bank, and many other people probably have relevant sales skills. They probably worked in other sales roles, brokerages, maybe sales roles at hedge funds and things like that. But if you have something unique, maybe you speak Spanish, maybe you speak German, then if they have a German and Spanish sales team, which typically investment banks do, they'll be like, okay, well, this guy has good sales skills, so we can place him in any team, but he has something unique. So maybe you can support the German sales team if they have a person down, if they have a female colleague who's maybe on maternity leave, things like that. So really think about what you can do that really helps you stand out from the others, particularly now when the job market isn't great. If you are looking for a job, you want something unique to help you stand out. How do your current contacts positively describe you? So sometimes when you're writing your profile summary at the top of your CV, or just your CV in general, sometimes it could be difficult to find positive ways of describing yourself because you might not want to come across as arrogant. But what you've got to understand is your CV is really your one-page sales letter, and you really need to promote yourself in that, right, without being too over the top. So things could be, you could think about your previous performance reviews, and if you've kept copies of that, that's great. You could maybe look at keywords they mentioned there. Typically there'll be things like diligent, thorough, hardworking, innovative, team player. Those kind of buzzwords you can use on your resume at the top part in particular, because at the end of the day, listen, we all know how the corporate environment works. It's very fake. All these type of buzzwords, they do stand out to recruiters and HR and hiring managers, even if we can all kind of see through it and see it's just a thinly veiled professionalism that may be a bit, not as truthful as people may want it to be. What excites you about your next career move? Onboarding new clients, helping company growth plans, and things like that. So like I say, if you're on a sales role, if you're on some kind of growth strategy role, of course you want to emphasize how you're going to help the company, how you're going to add value to the company. And that's why these are some ideas. Like I say, your unique skills, key positive descriptions of yourself, being a team player, for example, and what excites you about your next career move, how you're going to add value and help the company that you're moving forward to, and how you're enthusiastic by helping those companies achieve their goals. Now, profile example, right? We've got two examples here. So let me zoom in a bit so you can see it a bit clearer. So in the first case, we have, right, Oliver Sherman. It says his profile summary. So again, this is the top part of your CV that you want to focus on. Standing out, because if someone's reviewing your CV for 7 seconds, they'll probably have, if they're going to read any part of your CV in a thorough detail, it'll be the top part, right? That's how we normally read a page, quickly scan the top part, then look through the rest of the page in a very quick format. So currently seeking permanent full-time management consultancy roles as a recent UCL graduate, economics with a placement year, who has a good foundation of 1 year experience at Accenture, proven business restructuring analytical skills, strategic organizational planning skills for client companies across various fintech or finance and tech industry niches. What kind of stands out? Firstly, they mention two buzzwords, right, which are major institutions. One is educational, UCL, which is one of the top unis within London. Accenture, which is a major management consultancy firm, so it shows they have relevant experience. It shows what they want to do next, which is seeking another full-time management consultancy role after doing 1 year of experience. Then it talks about the skills they have: analytical, strategic, working with client companies, which means they have good client relationship management skills across finance and tech. Now, when they say finance and tech, it's important because these are growing sectors. It shows they have a niche expertise there. So if a management consultancy wants someone who has finance and tech industry skills, they will definitely look at this CV and it will stand out to them. So this is a good example of how you can kind of generally structure your profile summary. Here's a second example from Juan Garcia. In this case, they are essentially mentioning their skills, and a couple key points here: client-focused, finance professional with relevant JP Morgan sales and division experience, with a strong academic background, having studied accounting and finance, additional sales experience in the electric vehicle industry, and marketing expertise as a university ambassador, recruiting international students. Currently seeking a hedge fund role focused on pursuing new sales leads and maximizing client revenue. So what are the kind of key buzzwords that I've kind of highlighted here? So they're client focused. They worked at JP Morgan, a buzzword in the sense of a brand name company. They have a strong academic background, and you'll notice here they didn't mention their university in the top part of their CV. If you went to a brand name university, Duke's, Harvard, Yale, things like that, you want to mention that. But if it's not a brand name, you can just mention your degree without mentioning that university if it's not particularly popular or particularly good brand name university. Then it says they have sales experience in electric vehicles, the EV industry, marketing experience as a university ambassador, and they're seeking a hedge fund role. So what's interesting here is that they don't have necessarily tons of experience in hedge funds and working in sales roles there, but they have sales experience in other industries, new upcoming industries which are kind of interesting and exciting, like EV, electric vehicles, Tesla, things like that are kind of hot topics right now. And particularly when lots of investment companies are focused on those environmentally friendly investments. That might be a key thing that stands out. And also they mentioned marketing experience as a university ambassador. So again, they're more junior, but they're bringing up any relevant experience that they have, transferable skills, even from other parts of life, right? Working as a university ambassador, of course, is not as prestigious as working in another hedge fund in sales, but at least it's some relevant skills in marketing, right? And then it's talking about what they're looking for. So that's a good way of ending your profile summary. Currently seeking, hedge fund role, tech role, things like this. Talking about how you're going to add value, as I mentioned before, pursuing new sales leads, maximizing client revenue. That's really a great example of how in just a few sentences you can have a massive impact and really stand out from other people who, like I say, you'd be surprised how many people have very poor CVs. So now I just want to go back to this type of topic around how you have 7.4 seconds to make sure you have an impression, right? When it comes to the recruiter or the hiring manager. So I've given 5 key points that I want you to focus on, right? Firstly, you need to give them a connection story, right? Throughout your CV, it has to have a clear narrative that your next career move is something that would make logical sense. So if your entire CV is all about working in tech, and then you're handing this into a recruiter who's in finance and you want to move from tech to finance, but there's not a clear narrative of how you've tried to pivot from tech to finance, maybe through educational qualifications, professional qualifications, through maybe doing some brief work in the finance department of your company. If nothing is pointing in that direction, then you're really going to really struggle to define that. That's why throughout your CV, particularly at the start, you have to have a narrative, right? Give them a connection story using your personal story to explain your career journey, showing how your unique experiences and motivations connect to your current role or aspirations. Make the narrative relatable and memorable. Add unique details about yourself, maybe. And you have to be quite careful with how you do this, but you can have specific traits, anecdotes, motivations to highlight your individuality, to help you stand out or make you more memorable compared to others, where they're just facts and statistics. Now, I'll give you a few quick examples here. So in the finance industry, they're quite big on going on skiing trips. So if one of the hobbies you put there, which could be a talking point in your CV, is that you've gone on some skiing trips and it's kind of something you're enthusiastic about, that might be a good talking point within the interview, right? That people might like you. And as I say all the time, so much of a success depends on how much people like you rather than your actual technical skills. Another thing could be maybe you have strong discipline and determination, and if you have martial arts as one of your hobbies, you do Brazilian jiu-jitsu, that might be a talking point if other co-workers interviewing you at the potential company you're going to work at are interested in that, or it just demonstrates you have some discipline and overcoming adversity. So little things like that can help you stand out from the sea of everyone else, right? And then in terms of jargon, it mentions your language to the industry, right? So you need to weigh up 2 things. Firstly, the HR or the recruiters are going to read your CV, but also the hiring manager. So you should make things accessible to them. So they'll be looking out for certain keywords and buzzwords, but it shouldn't be too technical. So for example, if you're going to work at a major finance firm, you might mention you're aware of certain SEC or CFTC rules or certain financial conduct rules in the UK, and you have some of those technical skills, because that will stand out to a recruiter and hiring manager. They'll understand it without it being too complicated. You describing some kind of super technical analysis, right, in finance. And they might have been told, these hiring managers and recruiters, and these other HR contacts, that there's certain keywords they want to look out for before they bring out someone for an interview in the company, to stop them wasting time with candidates who aren't right. So that's why having certain buzzwords are important without it being overly technical, right? Focusing on your key skills and experience relevant to a conversation on the job. So anything on your CV, you should be, of course, ready that it could come up in an interview, but that you're saying things that they would want to discuss in an interview effectively, right? So just bear that in mind. When you're writing and improving your CV, think about, okay, how would this come across in an interview? What would be the talking point around it? Because they might stand out to them and they ask you questions about it. Point number 4, find common ground. Look for shared experiences or interests during the interactions. Commonalities help create a connection. So that's what I mentioned about having something in common with others, whether it's hobbies, whether it's some level of experience. Maybe you worked on a project that every company in that industry were focused on. Like, for example, within the financial industry and investment banks within the UK, there was a major piece of financial regulation that impacted investment banks and sales and trading divisions called MiFID II. And so many different companies will have to work on this. Consultancies had to support banks to implement these. And that might be a common ground. Oh, you worked on that project implementing MiFID II and someone else did. This will help you stand out. Other things to bear in mind would be complementing them, right? So, I mean, these are little things that, when you're interacting with recruiters, interacting with hiring managers and HR, it's all about, kind of building a positive rapport and a really healthy professional network, which can be easier said than done. Like I say, they are, of course, a bit like car salesmen, a bit more self-interested. They might not be willing to help you if they just don't like you or if they just think you don't have the relevant experience. But kind of keeping a positive attitude, which will help you in general when you're doing a job search. It'll help you stand out, right? So we've got a couple key points there. You're complimenting people when you're interacting with contacts, when you're looking for a job, finding some common ground, unique details on your CV, using keywords without being too technical, a consistent narrative throughout your CV. We went through some examples, some idea generations, unique skills, keywords, positive ways of describing yourself, what your next career move is and how you can add value to the company, including all things like your technical skills, experience, academic background, and career goals. And then bearing in mind, like I say, you've got a 7-second countdown without being too over the top where people will look out in your CV. Now, if you imagine a hiring manager, I'm not saying they're only going to look at your CV for 7 seconds, but within 7 seconds, they'll make a judgment if they want to keep reading it or not. And that sounds a bit harsh, but imagine, as I say, how busy they could be. So try and focus on some of the key points in this. And I've used this successfully to get top jobs without a network at companies like HSBC, Goldman Sachs, and Morgan Stanley, and many other companies, through effectively using some of these strategies. And that's what I try to teach my clients, which I've been working with for some time now. So like I say, let me know what you think about this. If you're working on your resume, you have any questions, let me know in the comments section. And there are 2 recommended videos on your screen right now, and I'll see you in the next video.